The Forest, a popular survival game developed by Night Games in 2014, garnered immense success for various reasons. For fans of this genre, the highly anticipated sequel, Sons of the Forest, was announced in late 2019, which led to global speculation about its release date and anticipated new features. Recent trailers have unveiled a wealth of information about the game, causing great excitement for its upcoming release. Therefore, in this video, we will cover all that is currently known about Sons of the Forest, such as its launch date, changes in gameplay, and other related details. Release date. Night Games had originally planned to launch Sons of the Forest in full on February 23, 2023. However, the game will now be released in early access form on the same date. The reason for this change is to avoid further delays and to allow players to access the game as promised. This follows multiple delays from its initial May 2022 release date and subsequent October release date. In an official statement released last summer, the studio stated that it required additional time to complete the polish we feel is needed due to the increased scope and fidelity of the final product. The game will be priced at $29.99. Why did Sons of the Forest get delayed? The developers have repeatedly acknowledged that their earlier release dates for Sons of the Forest were too ambitious, which may lead one to wonder what is going on. However, when considered logically, the game's multiple delays may not be such a negative thing. The debacle surrounding the release of Cyberpunk 2077 serves as a cautionary tale. CD Projekt Red set a highly unrealistic release date for the game, and due to pressure from shareholders and other factors, the developers had to release the game in a state riddled with bugs. This resulted in the ruin of what had the potential to be the biggest game of our generation. The plot. In the predecessor game, players took on the role of Eric LeBlanc, who was searching for his lost son while surviving on a forested peninsula following a disastrous plane crash. The game required players to scavenge for food, supplies, and materials to construct shelter and weapons. In Sons of the Forest, players begin with a helicopter crash that leaves them stranded in the forest. After regaining consciousness, a mysterious lady appears that implies that there is a narrative to pursue. While no other details about the primary story have been revealed, it is assumed that the indigenous tribe is unhappy about the player's presence, necessitating numerous confrontations. The trailers indicate that the player's actions will have a more significant impact on the game world. Additionally, the game's Steam page and trailers provide additional information on the plot, indicating that players will take on the role of a character dispatched to locate a missing billionaire on a remote island. Furthermore, the protagonist is unnamed, implying that players may be able to create their own characters. Some theories suggest that Eric, the previous game's protagonist, or his son Timmy, may make a cameo appearance in the game. There is also speculation that the game will pick up where the forest left off. Regardless, the game's enhanced visuals and gameplay have piqued the interest of many players. A survival horror simulator. Sons of the Forest is classified as a survival horror simulator, which is not surprising considering the success of its predecessor that followed the same formula. In this game, there are no non-playable characters to assist the player or provide guidance, making the experience more realistic and intense. Instead, the player must navigate their own survival and determine the next steps. The game includes the essential elements of any survival game, but with the added feature of interacting realistically with the environment. Players must chop down trees for wood, skin animals for pelts, and sharpen wood to create spears. The game's survival mechanics are highly flexible and creative, according to the developers, allowing players to shape their own unique story. Based on the trailers, it appears that each playthrough will be different for every player, adding to the game's replayability factor. Area setting, map size, and weather system. The playable area of Sons of the Forest has undergone significant changes, with the map now being 4 times larger than that of its predecessor, the Forest. The game setting will be reminiscent of the Site 2 map seen at the climax of the first game, and Night Games has done an impressive job of creating a robust open-world map that offers an even more expansive scope for survival. The environment in the game is similar to the original, but now features an exciting new dynamic weather system that will not only affect the layout of the land, but also the player's survival. The changes in weather will significantly impact sourcing food and hunting, and it will also alter the behavior of enemies. Surviving in the game will become even more challenging if players are not adequately prepared for these dynamic changes. Crafting and building mechanics revamp. Sons of the Forest promises to improve upon its predecessor with a more robust and intricate system for crafting, cooking, and building. One notable addition is the ability to dig into the building mechanics, resulting in more detailed and nuanced structures. The game also introduces a 3D printer which can be used to create more intricate items and customized gear. In the trailer, we see an example of a printed mask which players can use to masquerade as elite cannibals. This addition adds a new dimension to the game's crafting opportunities and opens up exciting possibilities for survival. Building remains a major element of the gameplay, with Sons of the Forest offering a more immersive and grounded approach to this core mechanic. For instance, players will have new and unique ways to interact with wood during crafting and building, making the possibilities seemingly endless. We can't wait to see how the game showcases its improvements in this area. Weapons and combat. The survival and combat theme in Sons of the Forest has been given a modern look. In the trailers, we've seen characters sporting combat gear, military vehicles, weapons, and even explosives. The game's developers, Night Games, have confirmed that there will be more guns in this game, but they'll balance combat by making ammunition scarce. Melee weapons will still be the go-to in most altercations, and the developers have improved on this front since the original game. Sons of the Forest features a wide assortment of weapons, including creative new takes on the usual types. Players can choose from axes, knives, batons, pistols, shotguns, and rifles, among others. The trailers have showcased many of the available weapon types, but there are still many more to be revealed. A more intuitive AI. According to the developers, Sons of the Forest will have advanced AI that will respond to the player's actions. They have developed a new AI tool called VAIL, which enables the creation of complex behaviors and characters that can feel emotions such as fear, tiredness, hunger, thirst, and more. These feelings will influence their decisions in the game. In addition to this, the developers have mentioned that the AI will coordinate attacks more effectively against the player, which means that players will need to be more cautious and strategic during combat to avoid being surrounded and attacked. New enemies. The game's enemy roster has been expanded to provide players with new challenges. While some familiar foes from the original game will still be present, the additional enemy types will make the game feel more varied. Here are some of the new enemy types that players can encounter. Regular cannibals. These are the basic enemies that players will encounter throughout the game's map. They can be hostile, although not as much as some of the other types of enemies. Displaying the skull of another cannibal can scare them away. Cave cannibals. These cannibals are more passive and prefer to avoid fights. Most of them can be found in caves. Masked cannibals. These are the most dangerous cannibals in the game, and they will be hostile towards the player as well as other cannibals. They wear golden masks, and if players manage to 3D print one, the masked cannibals will not attack them and might even ally with the player. Rumors and leaks. In addition to the aforementioned enemies, Sons of the Forest will also feature new mutant types. The latest trailer has showcased creatures such as fingers, twins, and a blob-like monster that throws dead mutant babies. Additionally, players can expect an aggressive shark that can be hunted. Another notable character is Virginia, a creature with 3 legs and hands. Unlike traditional enemies, Virginia does not give players missions or tasks, and the interactions with her are entirely up to each player. End Night Games has stated that they hope players will have unique and varied experiences with her, with players being able to try to befriend, scare off, or ignore her. Will Sons of the Forest have multiplayer? Sons of the Forest will feature multiplayer, which is a significant advantage for survival games. Co-op play adds more excitement to the game and increases the fun factor. You can play with up to 3 other players, explore the island together, work together to build items, plan your strategies as a team, and more. Sticking together with your group will improve your chances of survival. As of now, End Night Games has not officially confirmed whether the sequel will support up to 8 players in co-op mode. The current official capacity is limited to 4 players, but we'll have to wait and see if the developers make any changes later on. System requirements. Sons of the Forest's both minimum and recommended system requirements will be shown on screen. We recommend that you have at least 16 GB of RAM, an Intel Core i7-8700K CPU, and an NVIDIA GeForce 1080 Ti graphics card for the smoothest experience. Platforms. At the moment, End Night Games has only confirmed a PC release for Sons of the Forest and is concentrating on PC development. While a PS4, PS5, or Xbox port is not currently in the works, it is possible that they will consider it in the future. The prequel was released on PlayStation 4 in 2018, so there is some hope that the small development team will eventually bring the sequel to the PS5 and Xbox Series X platforms. To sum up, Sons of the Forest is set to be an engaging and difficult survival horror game that takes the victorious recipe of its forerunner to the next level. Its extensive open world, ever-changing day and night cycle, and a wide range of survival techniques to learn provide a one-of-a-kind and immersive encounter. The inclusion of multiplayer and an extended storyline further amplifies the anticipation, making Sons of the Forest a much-awaited game for both horror and survival enthusiasts. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Until next time, thank you for watching.